Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to another Brewnomics interview series at the Lounge. I'm Jerry.
I'm Vic.
Today we have a special guest
Eric Larson
from Mad Swede Brewing. Thanks for coming, man. We appreciate it. We're going to have some fun, but it's a beer show, so hey, let's drink some beer.
All right.
Absolutely.
All right. Eric, you want to tell us about this one?
Yes, this is our Naked Sunbather Nut Brown Ale. The name is a dad joke.
Solid.
That's my dog in the background. Tex, very good boy. But this beer, we're very proud to say, won the gold medal for American-style brown ale at the Great American Beer Festival this past year. So, yeah, that was a big deal for us.
That's exciting, man.
Thank
Right
you.
on.
Yeah, I was really stoked. I was actually catering an Oktoberfest event up in McCall and had 2 kegs of this with me. Shh. And, hey, you'll get beer too later. I would never do that. Just for the record.
Don't give your dogs beer.
Yeah, I was catering an Oktoberfest event up in McCall. I had a couple of kegs of this stuff with me, and as I was setting up my booth to start vending, I get a text from my mom, one of the owners of the company, just like, "Hey, we just got gold at GABF." So, yeah, word got out around that little festival, and I got through about a keg and a half in like 2 or 3 hours.
Quite quick,
It
I
was-
bet.
Wow. Yeah.
That's amazing. No, I love this beer. I've had this beer many, many times because I really appreciate a brown if it stands out, which is really hard to do.
Yes.
And this is one that does it. So every time somebody's like, man, I can never get a good brown, what do? I'm like, you can. I promise. And it's not that hard.
Yeah.
Make a Sunbather.
Yeah, the brown ale as a style has always had like a soft spot in my heart, because that was like when I was a child, the first beer I ever liked the flavor of. And by which I mean a child, definitely of age 21.
Sure, of course.
Yeah, I had it was the Moose Drool brown ale
Of
from
course,
Big Sky,
of course.
which
beer.
still holds up.
Good
still,
beer,
still a great
absolutely.
beer.
Great move, yeah.
So when this was our brown ale, I was like, yeah. So flavor-wise, what we're going for with it was to we feel like a lot of brown ales tend to be kind of one note. They're just kind of this like pretty much tastes like brown sugar.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
And we didn't want that. We wanted something more interesting. And it happens, my dad, our brewmaster, just really loves playing with his malt bills. That seems to be his favorite part of the brews to mess with. So he decided that if he dialed back the typical sweetness of a brown ale slightly, he could let more of this malt character come through. And then to have malt character come through, he used like 8 different specialty malts in addition to our base malt. Maybe
Interesting.
7 in addition to the base
That's a lot of
malt.
malts.
Yeah. And so it's just like a little bit of this one, a little bit of that one. There's one in particular that gives it the like a little bit of a sourdough note
Okay.
that often when we're tasting the beer to like see if it's ready, we kind of sense as like an incomplete fermentation off like acetaldehyde. And so it's messed with us a little bit. So we've even toyed with like taking that one out and not using it. And it sucked. It was just, it was like we need all of these little things in there to like create. I think he hit on a really killer combination of malts yeah.
No, I agree. And again, to that point, it is hard. Typically, people think once you had a brown, you had a brown, you had a brown. Get me a Newcastle. Come on now. There's really
Get
good
out
brown
here.
beer out here.
In
Again,
a clear bottle. Do you not care about the product?
For real. For real. If it comes in a clear bottle or a green bottle, get it out of here. All right, well, to the interview, huh?
Yeah.
So, Eric, why don't you get us started? Tell us a little bit about yourself, your history, what you do for Mad Swede.
Yes. My name is Eric Larson. My background in the industry is that I have worked for Mad Swede for about 4 years. Before that, I was all over the service industry downtown, and always been a pretty avid beer drinker. I think my parents instilled the potential to become a beer lover in me. So when we moved up here in like 1992, they were always getting like Table Rock beers and just, it was the world of craft beer was a different back then.
All
but they
two
was,
craft breweries in Idaho at the time.
yeah, and they were always chasing down some kind of interesting beer, and so I just remember the adults around me always talking about beer. Well, not always, but if beer was around, they would discuss the flavor. And then when I got older and got interested in consuming it for myself, they kind of that I had them as an example to like. So, which is why I found Moosterl. Was my uncle and aunt talked about it.
That's pretty cool.
And, yeah. So, I started out at Mad Swede as just a general kind of painting walls and laying baseboard and helping with the build out. And then when we actually opened, I became a salesperson. We pretty quickly hired another salesperson, Cody. So we've had a sales team of 2 for most of the time we've been open. So that's mostly what I've done for the past 4 years until just recently I swapped over to just manage the tasting room. And hopefully once manage another tasting room soon.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
I guess that'll lead us into another question later. Look at that.
So are we correct in assuming that this is a family-owned business?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. My parents own the company, so as you can imagine, it was a pretty tough job interview.
Sure. Shout out to mom and dad.
Yeah. My dad is the brewmaster. My mom basically makes sure we don't run around with our hair on fire. She does a ton of stuff behind the scenes to kind of make sure things are running smoothly and we have all the right permits and we're not spreading the coronavirus.
It's an important job. Very nice.
Absolutely. So I want to get into a little bit about the history of Mad Swede. There's this strong, like, Viking aspect of it. You look a bit like a Viking yourself, that big, strong beard. So I'm kind of curious because you've seen on the website, and I want to make sure I don't misquote this, and I've seen it on cans too. Mad Swede is comprised of adventurous drinkers, brewers, dreamers, and thinkers who, like Vikings themselves, dare to venture toward new and exciting territory. I love that. Tell us a little bit more about kind of the Viking philosophy behind Mad Swede.
Yeah, I feel kind of drinking a local beer is kind of really closely tied to travel. When you go to a new town and kind of want to start to get a feel for a new town, you like drink the beer they make there. And
It's great. Yeah.
so that's part of as you're adventuring through life, you're going to try a lot of different beers, hopefully. If you're a beer person, which you probably were talking to mostly that.
Largely our audience.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and then kind of the fun of craft beer is all these different people like experimenting, trying new things, inventing new stuff like the Hazy IPA, which really would have been impossible like 15 years ago with the species of hops we had to work with back then. So it's really fun to see the new developments and all of this new science that contributes to making beer what it is today. And that's kind of how we just view ourselves as participating in that. And we happen to be of Swedish descent. My great-great-grandfather, Eric Larson, moved to Nebraska from, I think, a little, like 2 hours outside of Stockholm way back when.
With a name like Eric Larson, never would have guessed Swedish descent.
Not in the least. Not in the least.
It's not that obvious, huh?
Well, that's pretty rad. Yeah. So
yeah.
go ahead. Yeah.
Oh,
sorry.
no.
All right. So it sounds like you just have a love for the Viking nature, the name, the warrior sort of pride, and all your beers sort of seem to center around that the Viking sort of theme. Can you tell us a little bit about like how you guys come up with naming your beers?
Viking history is pretty colorful and also really mysterious because they didn't write down a lot of stuff. So, but their mythology is also very colorful. So there's just a lot to pull from, and so we like to try to kind of thematically tie the names of the beer to what we're doing with the beer. We just recently made a new one called Hellhest. It's a kite beer, which is a
what now?
a kite beer, Kuyt. It is a Dutch ale from like the 13th or 14th century. I'm told it was the first style of beer ever to use hops.
Huh.
And yeah, so the malt base is like 50% oats, 30% wheat, 20% barley, and it really drinks like a kind of a hef, but with a dry finish. Very tasty. Love it a lot.
Interesting.
So we had to name it's more. Seems like all of the obvious ones in Viking mythology have kind of been Odin and Thor and Freya, which we also have a knit beer
Sure.
named for her. But those really obvious ones are taken. So for us, it's kind of fun to try to find something more obscure. So there's a lot of just like combing through Wikipedia or like weird like GeoCities style websites that document a bunch of random stuff from Viking and history and Norse mythology. So Hellhest is the three-legged ghost horse that belongs to the goddess Hel, who rules over, get this, Hell.
Clever.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have guessed. Wouldn't have guessed.
Yeah. And the Vikings would make offerings of oats to Hellhest to keep their good health, to ward off disease.
Rad.
A thing we decided to call the beer before this whole outbreak happened, but
Now it's more appropriate than ever,
yeah, it
maybe.
turned out maybe prescient. So, yeah, that we just kind of try to have fun with it. We did a beer last year where we had a special source of water. There was this pilot program that came up from Arizona to try to process and recycle our municipal wastewater, turn it back into drinking water. And it also happened that the water we would get back would be softer than we typically deal with. So we would have to adjust the mineral makeup. And given that the mineral makeup of the water can contribute to the haziness of your hazy IPA, we decided that if we were going to start with this blank slate, we'd make our first hazy IPA. It took us till last year to do it.
Yeah.
We're
Not an early adopter.
yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that. It was a trend I saw a lot of people fight, but after a while, I guess hazies are no longer a trend.
Yeah.
They're kind of around to stay.
Yeah, no, they are. And I do not mind.
Sure.
Because we had this weird, it was this pilot program, and the group that was trying to get the city to adopt it wanted to kind of ease people into the idea of drinking recycled wastewater, which, for the record, cleaner than the actual tap water we get now.
Oh, yeah.
And all the water you've ever drunk has been pooped in before. This had just been pooped in more recently and more thoroughly cleaned than the water you usually get. I had to sell this beer.
You're the best.
So we
odd.
called it
Awesome.
we named the beer Mimisbrunner because that's the name of the pool that feeds the world tree Yggdrasil. There's a special source of water.
Cool. Yeah.
So, yeah, just trying to get, it's fun for us to just dig into our weird history and mythology.
That is
That's
fantastic.
awesome. If you got to do it, it helps to
man.
enjoy it, huh? So it seems like the owners, I guess this probably trickles down to yourself, Jerry and Susie. Hi, Jerry and Susie. They have a deep love for Boise, and the craft beer, the culture around Mad Swede definitely reflects that. Big with collaboration, it seems, which kind of leads us into this next beer. I'm really glad you brought it for us, but the Peregrine Pilsner, so I know they're partnered with the Peregrine Fund, so we're all about collaboration here at Brewnomics, doing your part for the community, the people around you. So you can tell us a little bit about this beer now, what you guys do, the reasoning behind it.
Yes, this is the Peregrine Pilsner. It is just a really solid, clean lager. I was actually really proud that it came out so good because it's the lager is just kind of, it's like the cheese pizza of beers.
Straight. That's
my-
the best analogy I've ever heard.
Yes, that I
love
got
it.
that from my sales team partner Cody, who knows way more about beer than I do.
Shouts to Cody.
Yeah,
Shout out.
it's just the if your pizzeria can make a killer cheese pizza, then you know they're good at what they're doing. So when this came out just like crisp and clean and easy to drink, that was, that's what we wanted from it. And we did it in collaboration with Action Printing and our canner, Boise River. Okay, I was afraid to say it because I thought I'd get it wrong. Boise River Canning. Everyone, including our graphic designer, did all their parts of it at cost, so that we could pass the profits from this beer on to the Peregrine Fund, which runs the World Center for Birds of Prey out south of Boise, which my sister and I both, I think, probably every year of elementary school went on a field trip out there.
100%, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much anyone who had primary education in Boise has been there at some point on a field trip.
Sure.
So it was always really cool to get to meet all the birds. It's like possibly the most successful rescue effort ever undertaken to rescue an endangered species was what they did to save the peregrine falcon.
That's so cool.
That's rad.
Yeah.
Huh.
So, yeah, we've been. They are also, because we're on South Cole. They are on just much further South Cole. We kind of were natural partners.
Much further south.
Yeah.
Yeah. You drive past, stop and get a beer, and then keep going south, and you'll
Wow.
get to meet some sweet birds.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so now, at least once a year, we do an event at the brewery where they bring some birds out and do some bird education and
That's so
a
They
portion
come to
of
your
our proceeds
brewery?
for the night. Yeah.
Very
We
cool.
even have our own adopted Verreaux's eagle owl named Oliver.
Oliver.
He is very majestic.
Imagine so.
And he can turn his head almost 360 degrees. It is terrifying.
Isn't that creepy when
Yeah.
you see birds? I love birds, especially raptors. They're
Yeah.
amazing.
I just recently learned it's because they can't move their eyes in their head.
No shit.
Yeah. They
I-
gotta,
I mean, no poop.
They have no musculature in their eyeball holes, in their
Yes.
sockets.
Yeah.
I didn't
they
realize
just
that
stare
till now.
forward.
Huh.
I had to really think about the words I said just now. Okay.
So, yes, education continuing even to this day, thanks to the World Center for Birds of Prey.
Dude,
Well, and
that's
they're
cool.
falcons in general are incredibly important to our ecodiversity and our biosphere. So I'm glad they brought it back. That's
true.
cool as shit. And just like people are like, oh, it's just a birds. They're the most fascinating things on the planet. They're
Yeah.
dinosaurs.
Yeah.
They're straight up.
Yeah.
And they're amazing. But we actually just had this on our podcast
Last night.
last night. So if you're listening to this, also last night, if you listen to them back to back, and we really enjoyed it and made that point to where, kind of to the point of the brown, it's really hard for them to be stand out, especially with pilsners. It's also can be kind of bad or hard to have a bad pilsner, so they tend to be a very, to me, middle of the road beer. But I really like this one. I like where it sits. ABV wise at 5%, it's incredibly drinkable, but not so low to where you're like, come on,
What's it doing?
come on.
It's still worth putting it back.
Exactly. But it's clean, it's crisp, it's refreshing, and it doesn't overstay its welcome. I really appreciate it about a good beer too. It doesn't linger. You take a sip, it says "caca," and then goes on about its way.
Well, thank you.
I would imagine normally hello, but
In this case, it's caca.
in this case it's caca.
Okay.
Exactly.
Like what you did there.
So that's cool. So yeah, of course, make sure we'll share whenever it comes around if you guys do your next event with the Birds of Prey Center. But if you're in the area and you haven't checked it out, if you can, I don't know what their status is.
Yeah. I'd probably find give them a call
Give
or
'em-
something.
Put it into the old Google machine, see what comes
Yeah.
up. But definitely go check out Mad Swede. Are you guys doing deliveries right now for those that don't want to go out?
We are. Right now, we're doing one round of deliveries at 6 o'clock every night. So if you get your order in on the website, it'll pop up on our POS, and we have someone scheduled. Excuse me. At 6 o'clock every night to bring it out. We got a pretty wide delivery range, which also means it can take a while after 6 for us to actually get it to you, because I've had to drive like as far south and as far north as you can get and still be in the Boise city limits.
Well, you guys are right on the edge to begin with.
Yeah.
So if you're going anywhere on the other side of town, you on the other side of town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's but you know, we weren't sure how popular our online sales would be, so we made a pretty wide range. But yeah, that's every day. It's all of our packaged beer. You can also order growlers. We don't do like a growler exchange, so you have to buy a growler, but then you have a cool growler with our logo on it.
There you go.
Oh, I have one. Yeah, there's fantastic growlers. I encourage you guys to get one.
Yeah.
Yeah, super cool. So we kind of touched earlier on some of the artwork that is on the can. Can you tell us a little bit more about who does that? Because it definitely seems like there's a theme involved there.
Yes, it's Lauren Medeiros is she has like a job with a graphic design firm here in town, but she freelances for us. She's been with us since the very beginning, since before we were open. Basically anything we have that looks really good, Lauren did. She's fantastic at what she does. And she developed the art style, which she told me. I texted her because I knew you were going to ask about what the style was. She told me it's a woodcut style. It's a style of illustration based on woodcuts, which, you know,
That makes a lot of sense. With
Sure,
it,
yeah.
Yeah.
Which works perfectly with what you guys do.
Yeah, it's
Especially
kind
with
of
your theme, yeah.
Yeah. A Viking could have made a woodcut print.
100%, yeah. It's got a very ancient style quality
I
to
think
it,
they
which
probably
really
did.
works.
Minus the print part.
Yeah. They did cut wood.
They did cut wood.
For
Did
sure.
cut
That's
wood.
true.
Yeah, they have boats.
Yeah, so we thought it was attractive, and now we kind of give her a vague idea of, or we'll tell her the name and why we called it that, and she'll pretty much just come up with something, and has yet to have a miss. I really wish I'd been able to bring you the bottle of Hellhest too, because I'm especially excited about that one. It looks like a heavy metal T-shirt or something.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it does.
It's in green with it's got the three-legged horse on it, and looks.
Wouldn't work well in front of a green screen.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
yeah.
That'd be.
So, segue real quick, because obviously we do a green screen here. We're going to do a pretty sweet giveaway after the show later on our Instagram, to where you have to, follow these guys and us and whatever. So you get this cool hat and these koozies, but you probably can't see it. But I promise, it's there. Follow our social media, you'll see it. I guess let's get the rest of our plugs out of the way mid-show here real quick, and then we'll have our dear friend Paula and Tex pour us another beer. Tex is trying to free himself. He's trying to eat through that leash. No, Tex, no!
He's already made it through.
Of course, not only does Mad Swede do growler deliveries, but our dear friends here at the Lounge at the End of the Universe also do growler deliveries and exchanges. Not to one up. That's not what this is about. Sorry. So, yeah, they will deliver. You just have to go to loungeboise.com/shop. So, again, how cool is that you can have beer delivered, not even have to put on your pants to get beer? That's the way to do it. Everything's better without pants. Make sure you support the Lounge here at patreon.com/loungeboise. You get access to exclusive content, parties, behind-the-scenes stuff. You're the first to know whenever events happen here. Again, tune in Friday the 31st for the 12-hour Coronathon fundraiser, happening from noon to midnight in collaboration with the Blue City and Book Events Boise. But I also want to give Mad Swede a little plug here, because I know, especially tonight, Eric is being such a gem, taking his time out and giving it to us when every Monday?
Yes.
Every Monday they do an open mic night at Mad Swede, brought to you again by the Blue City. So check that out. It's fun. We used to go all the time, man. I know right now there are few things on earth that'll make you feel better than a damn good beer and a chuckle.
I couldn't have said it better myself. That's fantastic. Yeah, you get to see local stand-up comedians coming to you at a local brewery. What more could you want? Check it out, guys. Mad Swede Monday nights.
Cool. And with that, I'm out of beer. Hey, there we go. I thought that's what we had here. This is one of my favorites. I pick this one up quite often, and you even brought it up earlier. Freyas Pale Ale from Exertion.
Yes.
Pale from Exertion. It's a pale ale. I added a word in there. I love this one, and I'm like how you did the full thing there, because to your point, and the Viking name thing, big blessing and a curse, because I imagine, all the easy ones.
Yeah.
Take it, man. But that culture runs so vast and so deep.
Yeah.
But then it's like, how the hell do you pronounce that?
Yeah, I mean, like, we're talking about the 9 realms here. You got, like, Muspelheim, like, Niflheim, like, Vanaheim.
We
It's
played the last
outrageous.
God of War. We get it.
I get it. Yeah, it's absurd. Yeah, there's way too many.
Yeah, things like Mimisbrunner was a tough one for people. We had one called Brunhilde, which I always insisted on saying it that way when I was
I
pitching
would.
it because it was just
Of
fun
course,
for me.
yeah.
It is a double-edged sword because there's like I think it's great because a lot of people are already familiar with it from like different like God of War and other works of fiction. It can be hard to get people to pronounce the stuff right, but I think I think in the long term it kind of works as a branding element for us. Is that when you've worked to learn the name of a beer,
You ain't gonna forget it.
Yeah,
100%,
Yeah, you feel like maybe a sense of ownership about that beer. You then get to tell your friend, no, it's Mimisbrunner.
Yeah.
You
Brunhilde?
Neanderthal.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get to feel smart for a second. And I think that it kind of helps people to kind of bond with your brand when you make them jump through a fun hoop like that.
Absolutely.
Sure, yeah, it's an immediate connection. You're like, no, this is how it's said, and this
Yeah.
is
So
what
So
it
tell us
means.
about one of the easier to pronounce ones.
Yes.
Freyas Pale from Exertion.
Freyas Pale from Exertion Ale is kind of a staff favorite. It's Cody and I probably, if we had to, really choose a favorite, it's this one. We drink a ton of it. It's a nice even 5.5. I don't know. We've had conflicting reports.
Yeah.
It's around 5 or 5.5% alcohol.
Paul
Yeah,
says 5.5. That's what we're going with.
Yep.
Yeah. It's a really nice, like, well balanced, easy to drink, very flavorful, kind of hybrid American English or British pale ale.
That makes sense. Because say it is
Okay.
not the color of an American pale ale by any stretch. So that makes it, you get a little bit more caramel and copper color out of this one, which to me means it's probably going to be a tastier pale ale.
So one thing I'm always proud to say about our brewery is that our base malt, the pale ale malt that we use as the base in almost all of our beers, comes from a single farm outside of Idaho Falls called Mountain Malt. He grows like half of his crop every year goes to Anheuser-Busch. Like 25% goes to either like Country Malt Group or BSG or maybe some combination of different craft breweries provider, and 25% he gets to keep for himself. And as long as he gives them what's in their designated specifications,
yep.
they're happy with what he gives them. So he knows the 25% of his land that gives him the best barley. And he keeps that for himself, malts it, and sells it to us.
Oh.
So we just get like a little, we A-B'd it with the stuff we got from our usual malt provider.
Okay.
And it finishes just a little cleaner. We get a little more attenuation out of it. It's just a touch better.
Just a touch.
So, we love it. We use it for all of our beers. Weird that I would bring it up with this one because this is the one beer that we use a different base malt.
I felt that coming. I felt it.
This, we use Maris Otter, which is kind of a classic British pale ale malt. And it just, in this beer in particular, it just lends this little bit of earthiness in the body that we really can't do without. Like, it's not the same beer without that thing, which I really wish we could imitate it somehow because that stuff is expensive.
I bet.
yeah.
I bet. Yeah.
Which is why it's not canned yet. We would have to charge so much for a 6-pack of pale ale, which no one's going to pay $15 for a pale
Not
ale
for a
6-pack.
Although,
even though it's really good.
I was going to say, if you're going to, and the pale ale's your thing, which to this day I've never met anybody who my favorite beer is a pale ale. But if it is, I think this is the one to go for. But you
Sure.
can find it in the bomber. I've seen it around town. I get it all the time. It's a reasonably priced bomber. I don't know what it costs. I can't remember, but I'm cheap and I buy it. So
$5 or $6.
right where it should be.
Super reasonable priced. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is when I'm, settling in for a night of drinking. I tend to gravitate toward this one because it's just really tasty and easy to knock back. Yeah, just all around an underappreciated style of beer, the pale ale.
Yeah.
Agreed.
It really is.
Agreed.
Yeah, it really is.
All right, so we got another question here. This one from Will. For you guys, what type of sales does it take for your newer beer to make it to the make it as a tap room exclusive, seasonal? You're going to send it out to a store. Kind of tell us a little bit about just that process in general. I'm pretty curious always about how breweries pick.
So we have
tap room, seasonal.
Yes,
year round.
It's a very intense scientific process whereby we, if it sounds like people like it in the tap room, then we will make more of it.
Nice.
I felt that coming up.
I was like, he set us up hard. He really did. I was like, I'm in it.
No,
I'm
it's
in it.
not subtle.
It's like answer would be like the way it's received in sales.
Yeah, it's the tap room is really the driver of what we decide to make more of. We have a pilot system that allows us to make like 1 keg of beer, and we just gauge reaction to it. How fast does it move? How quickly do we empty that 1 keg?
We're happy to be part of any future pilot program.
Oh.
You guys want to
I'll let
institute
you know,
there?
yeah.
It's funny. So you mentioned a keg. Have we had this on our I Tap That segment?
It was very early for us.
Very early
actually.
on.
We've had because you don't know what you know about our normal podcast, but every episode we have to feature a beer from Idaho. I'd tap that as in if we're Idaho. I'd tap that. That's what kegs go in. And then Idaho's got a pretty good track record, but it doesn't always win. This is one of the earliest beers that we had on it. And spoiler alert, it totally got tapped.
Totally got tapped.
So hard.
Because it's a great beer. So drinkable. The drinkability is super high, reasonably priced, and it just goes down smooth all day, brah. Yeah.
He's going to chew that leash right off.
They brought it over because he just chewed it actually in half. I'm thinking I might need to get a heavier duty.
You
leash
might
for
need to.
sure.
He missed you. He missed you.
Yeah.
Now he wants to play.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Do you just want to put him in your lap so everybody
Yeah.
can see
Come here.
Tex?
Come here, Tex. Come here. Oh, no.
says
He
nope.
has one thing on his mind.
He's a
Yeah.
beautiful dog if you can't see him. All right, so let's get into this. You brought it up a little bit earlier. I heard a rumor about a second location downtown.
Yes.
What's up with that? Is that true? Have I been lied to?
It is true.
Oh,
The new location is in the Garo building,
Okay.
which is in the heart of downtown.
It is.
Unknown to almost everybody.
Yep.
It's a little gray building right next to the Hoff building, that big, nice Art Deco thing on the corner of, of 8th and Bannock. That is a separate building from the Hoff building. I think that's where the confusion comes in. It is right next to another brewery that I don't want to mention their name because they're owned by Anheuser-Busch. Even though I appreciate their brewing staff there, good people, talented people, that work in the location downtown.
Just downtown.
Yes.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
And I agree.
We're there. We get it.
Yes. So, yeah, it's going to be on just off 9th and Bannock, street level. It is. It's just going to be another tap room. We're going to still make all the beer at the current location.
Okay.
And the shape of the place happens to be a little a good space for the performing arts.
Perfect.
There. So it's going to be
Cool.
a little more emphasis. Like we've consistently had, stand-up comedy, music, some theater productions at the current brewery, including a production of Winter's Tale by the local theater group, the Boise Bard Players, where they actually performed a Winter's Tale just like in the tap room, no stage, just like amongst the tables.
That's awesome.
That's
And,
rad.
Yeah, it was super fun. So we've always loved stuff like that. I'm a musician. My sister has a master's in acting, and actually worked with a lot of the Boise Bard Players and apprenticed with the Idaho Shakespeare Company. So it's just been something our family's
So
like.
you got like real
into.
thespians.
Yeah.
Oh, Hondo, yeah.
She's very good at what she does. I'm okay.
Okay. Well, as long as you have fun with it, right? But
Yeah.
I know you're a funny guy, and I love that because little bit of a stand up there, and this
I've been
this
practicing.
shows. But that's a sweet location. I don't know. You got to give a shout out if you haven't been to the City Peanut Shop right across the street from
yes.
there. We just had Dan Balliff, the owner of that, on here.
Cool.
What a cool dude,
He's
man.
great.
What a
Great
cool story. Please
great
check
chap.
out that interview if you
Yes.
haven't.
We
Get
also-
them nuts.
We
pair it with-
sell his nuts at our tap room.
There you go. As well you
Nice.
should, because
They
they're
are
phenomenal.
delicious. Yes.
Phenomenal.
Tasty.
So, and then we just learned, and I didn't know this either, in Idaho, you can only have 2 tap rooms. You tap out at 2 tap rooms. So how much was it like this location came to you guys and you're like, oh, wow, let's jump on this? Or did you do a bunch of research and decide you wanted to be downtown? Or how was kind of that process?
Well, we knew that we could have a satellite tap room from the beginning, and I always hoped we'd find a place downtown to do it. It was last year. We went to the Craft Brewers Conference in Denver, and we're looking and just kind of came to the realization that probably the best thing we could do for ourselves as far as like income and marketing was to start to have a new tap room. So we came back and sort of been idly looking out for whatever we could find and figured, I guess we kind of took the same philosophy we did when my parents started the brewery. Was they would start moving that direction, and if any obstacle big enough to stopped us, we would stop. So that's how they started the brewery in the first place. Was, my dad started out brewing as a child. In 1979 was his first brew when he was in college.
Old school days of home brewing, huh?
Yeah. He brewed occasionally while my sister and I were growing up, and then I think he really dove into it once my sister and I were both out of the house, and he had more time to kill without his dumb old kids getting in the way.
A little more space, sure.
Yeah. And, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Watch out.
T.O. guys. There we
Yes,
go.
I brought my dog to the interview, and he is. Oh, don't you dare bite that! He chewed through his leash and now is loose in the studio. And
We keep it interesting here, guys. Check it out. Definitely want to watch this one. It's super fun.
see, I had him at work with me earlier while I was bartending, and we're a dog-friendly tap room. So you could have this kind of fun at your tap room when you come have a beer with us. And you could meet Tex for real. He's very friendly.
He's very friendly.
Very
friendly.
cuddly.
Very cuddly.
Where were we?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. We got lost.
But the tap room
Yes.
downtown, the new one, yes. So my dad started making beer in the 70s. Started really going hard after it, once he became an empty nester. And he has an engineering background, so he was really comfortable getting down into the guts of how to make beer. And then once they found, like, he's actually pretty good at making beer, what if this was our job? So then they started to just kind of move in the going step by step through what you would do to start a brewery, and just said if it becomes like something we can't handle, we'll just stop. And it never
Still going.
They
Still
were able
going
to
strong.
work through all the stuff, so we've taken that same approach to the new tap room downtown. It was like, if we find a suitable location, we'll go for it. And we found this phenomenal location.
It is a good one, especially now that downtown started to thrive.
Yeah,
For
yeah.
sure.
I mean, we'll be like at the farmers market every Saturday. We're like on the Twilight Criterium route, the big bike race that happens, and everything else that happens at
And
8th and
normal
Bannock.
downtown night.
Yeah,
it's
very
always going to be
central.
within walking distance right there. So,
Yeah.
man, we have such a cool downtown. I don't care what anybody says.
It is,
It's
it is
awesome.
a delight.
It's awesome.
Hey guys, want to drink another beer?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
We're here.
Yeah. So we just got poured. It looks like the Stone Hazy IPA. All I can read on the can is it comes in at 6.3%.
Correctamundo.
What you got for us on this one, Mr. Larson?
Yes, this is a good old-fashioned hazy IPA.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Sure is. Yeah.
Basically, if orange juice was beer, is kind of the mouth feel of it, and
So this would be a great beer mosa.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's it is a pretty typical hazy IPA. I think there's one thing that we try to bring to all of our beers is that we're very careful about a balance of all of the flavor elements. So we gave this one just a little more bite than you'll get in some other hazy IPAs, because I don't want it to taste like Skittles eventually.
Right.
If you drink
Right.
too many of those, they taste like Skittles. It's bizarre.
6.5%. That's going to hurt you
Yeah.
after a while too.
So yeah, it's just we also, when we first started making this, I don't actually know if we ever settled on a recipe. It's been a rotating hops beer, so each batch could be slightly different. I think he's sort of been honing in on like the sweet spot that he wants to occupy with this beer, but it was just kind of an adventure. Like, we felt like you have to make a hazy IPA now. It's like, it's a mandatory beer.
To be
It
competitive.
really
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah, and so make it fun. Make it a rotating hops series, and just trust that we will, know how to not mess it up.
There you go.
And so far, we have yet to mess it up.
There you go. No, it is a good hazy. I mean, I definitely one of those like, oh, haze boys, come on now. There's other beer out there. Just because it seems like there's been such a turn to pure hazies, but also there's a reason for it. They're really
Yeah.
freaking drinkable.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally on board.
So myself, I'd rather take a traditional IPA over a hazy, but I'm still, I'm gonna drink them.
Of course. No.
Like a lot.
Yeah, like you said, you guys struck a really solid balance here with at least this sort of hops and malts combination that you got going on. It has a good bitterness quality to it. It's very drinkable, coming in at 6.3. Definitely sold on that one. So it's a really good combo, and yeah, I can't wait to see how you guys continue to hone this one for sure.
Yeah.
All right, now I guess let's get into the fun bit of the conversation. The reason that started this whole series here at the lounge, the pandemic.
Yes.
You ready to have a serious talk? We really have to highlight breweries because we need them. Our podcast cannot survive without craft beer. That's what we do.
It's
yo.
true.
I mean, we have to like adapt and talk about something else. And not drink beer? Get out of here.
understand.
Come on now. So if you don't mind, if you don't want to, you don't have to. But I am very curious about how your guys' experiences have been, the challenges, what you've done to overcome, your coping methods. Because in Idaho, it has been a GD roller coaster.
Yes, it has. It has been a roller coaster for us as well. We took it seriously from the beginning, and we're ready to shut down when the lockdown was first announced. And fortunately, we had just switched our POS system over to Toast, and they've been great. They provided their online sales system for free of charge to all of their customers, knowing that
Oh.
we would need it.
Right.
So we just really quickly set up the online ordering and swapped over to, you could drive to the brewery and we would bring your order out and put it in your trunk so you could buy beer directly from us. And we set up the we had a little heavier delivery schedule.
Gotcha.
In the actual lockdown days. And then we took that time to develop our plan for how to reopen, because we knew we'd reopen still with the pandemic happening. And so yeah, we had the taproom manager I just replaced was a gal named Carrera, who just moved back to Sandpoint, Idaho. And she did the heavy lifting as far as developing our current methods of operation. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. We're good. Solved
Want
it.
to check
All right.
out your dog with a mic?
Just getting
Yeah.
comfortable down there. All right. As long as he's settled in. So now that we're reopened post-lockdown, we're still taking it seriously. We're still sanitizing everything. We're all table service all the time. We're trying to keep people from approaching the bar at all, and just coming to them. And we're requiring anyone that comes into our tap room to have a mask and to wear it when they get up from their table. You can have it off at your table. So
Currently at this time,
beer.
so is the city of Boise. So just
Yes.
excuse me, cover your ears. Just fucking put on a mask, people. It's not that hard. If you think it is, reevaluate your shit.
Yeah.
So
And
That's all I'm gonna say.
So the protocol would be is when someone walks into Mad Swede, you just walk in, find an open table, and have a seat there with your mask on.
yeah, I usually try to catch them as they're coming in. Like, hey, how many are there? So yeah, find you the right table, bring you menus. Just it's a little more hands-on than how we would usually operate. And then when they get up, we sanitize all the chairs and tables before we seat anyone new there. No seating at our bar top. We pushed a couple of tables up to the bar top so that you could kind of have the feeling of sitting at the bar without
Smart.
Cool.
sitting at the
That's a
bar.
good idea. Yeah.
And yeah, it's all spaced out. And for when we were expecting more people, like tonight with our open mic, we're opening all the doors and windows, just everything we can to let more air in, to ventilate the place, to make it as safe as possible. All the comedians are like, it can be like herding cats. Comedians are very strange creatures.
Yes.
That's why they get into it.
It's not a healthy human being that becomes a comedian.
That's pretty true.
So we keep them outside on our patio, where it's where there's all kinds of air moving around out there, and just let them come in after once the thing is about to start to fill in empty tables. I'm running a speaker outside onto the patio as well, so just
Cool.
trying to maintain the social distance. All of our tables are well apart.
6 feet away.
And yeah, it's all spaced out, and we're sanitizing the mic. Process we actually learned from here at the lounge, the
Yeah.
way they conduct their Wednesday mic. Sanitize the mic.
It's very important,
all the way
when
down.
you're
Yeah,
this close to it.
Straight up.
breathing pretty right up on this thing.
Yep. No, and they do a great job. Even after we get done with this broadcast, as it were, they come in right away and they get those sanitized. So no, they're phenomenal here, and it sounds like you guys are doing it as well. So fantastic, kudos to you, man.
Our best. I don't
Yeah.
want to be responsible for killing anyone's grandma.
Ain't that the truth?
Amen, bro.
I also love that on your dog's harness here, where you attach the leash, it could also be used as a bottle opener.
Oh, it totally could.
Because my dog's collar has a bottle opener on it.
Oh, yeah.
Bought it specifically for that reason. You go camping, you can't find your church key.
Wow.
Hey,
But-
pup, come here.
Come here. Where's my dog?
Boy, you're even more useful than I thought.
Hey, look at that, huh? So, no, and I see that. And I've been there since then. We went and picked up your guys' Black is Beautiful beer. You
Yes.
had that on the show when we
Phenomenal,
did that.
by the way.
So we really appreciate you guys being part of that. Thank you.
Absolutely.
But we didn't pick it up. Will did. But Will's like, yeah, I didn't have a mask, and they made me stay outside. And I was like, well, why didn't you have a fucking mask?
Yeah.
Which he said, you're right. I just forgot. I'm sorry.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because it would have taken you 2 minutes.
I think I would forget more often if I didn't just have them scattered everywhere I go.
And now,
Oh,
I
totally.
do too. But it's just, there are things in life worth bitching about. This is not one of them. Okay. So just get it together, people. All right. Before we get into this next beer, I just want to know: are there any new beers or events upcoming that people should look forward to from Mad Swede?
So we don't really have any big special events coming up soon, for obvious reasons.
I know we do have the cool open mic night every Monday, though.
Yes, there is that. We're resuming open mic nights and trivia night every Thursday, which we're doing a similar thing to how we try to keep the comedy night safe.
Who does your host for trivia?
It's the
Game night?
Live.
Is it Marcus?
Yeah, Marcus.
He's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
we need to go there
I
on
like Marcus a
Thursdays.
lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's fantastic.
Oh yeah, the people love him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a lot of fun. We are actually, one special development is we're expanding our outdoor seating area. So we've bitten off a chunk of our parking lot, used a bunch of pallets and built fencing
Nice.
to contain it.
Yep.
And we're in the process of the final approval stuff. Had a fire marshal
City
person
stuff,
out.
coding, all that.
Sure.
We'll
Yeah.
inspect it today. Yeah. So yeah, soon we will have a much more outdoor seating space, so you can come and safely enjoy a beer.
Excellent.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah,
Very cool.
I'm really excited about it. Kind of more further out in, we're not going to be able to do it. We've had this comic of the month, like the big monthly comedy show that is more curated than the open mic, where it's a competition between a handful of comics. Each one does 10 minutes, and we have kind of an American Idol style judging. Like after
Okay,
their
okay.
set, they get notes from the judges on what they did well and which we typically pick more experienced comedians to judge the competitors.
Cool.
Fair.
That's
And
cool.
We've been doing that in the back brewery area where we could fit more people in more like a theater type situation. Haven't been able to do that since lockdown,
Sure.
but I believe starting in September, the plan is to resume that in our parking lot.
Okay.
Okay.
So we can have people there outside without dying.
That's important.
Yeah.
In stereo.
Oh man, that's
Just-
yeah.
Yeah.
That's super rad, and I honestly like that style too because number one, like you get older comics teaching younger comics
Yeah.
how to be better comics themselves, and everybody benefits, and I think that's phenomenal, man.
Yeah.
It's super cool.
Yeah, it's really fun. Also run by the Blue City, the same people who do our open mic and who run the Wednesday mic here at the lounge.
Shout out to the
Beautiful.
Blue
Very
City.
Busy and beautiful woman who runs it.
Right on.
Absolutely.
It's not weird that I said that. She's my girlfriend.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not just being creepy.
Good to know. There's a
Good.
connection there,
Good.
people.
I just realized that would sound really creepy out of context.
I'm so glad you said it.
Yeah,
because
we were like,
You told me that before we started the show, but that didn't register.
Yeah.
For a second, I was like, oh, who'd we put on?
rad. I like what you did. I like what you did.
All right, so we're going to drink our last beer of the night, finish up with some rapid questions, and say our goodbyes at this point because I know you got some shiz to do. So the last one to finish on here, we have probably my personal favorite beer from Mad Swede, just because I'm an IPA guy, but the Longship IPA coming in at 6.6%, a good old-fashioned classic Northwest IPA.
Yes.
As good as it gets, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yep.
Tell us about this beer.
Yes, this is your good old-fashioned classic Northwest IPA. Little extra malt backbone on there. If you can see, it's verging on red IPA.
It really is.
Yeah.
And
It
that's
is,
super important to me, to people that are like, I don't like IPAs. With it being a little bit more of a malt forward IPA and being Northwest on top of that, it's what I like to call a gateway IPA. Being
Yes.
a true IPA, not a hazy, not a juicy, not a New England, a true IPA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the bitterness wars of the late 2000s kind of soured a lot of people to the
Yes.
IPA.
Such a great way
Before
to
we
put that.
discover
yeah.
all those new wonderful hops.
Yes, it was actually, I believe, the result of a new kind of hop that caused the bitterness wars. Because in the 90s,
Smells wonderful.
if you use the hops they had then to get the amount of alpha acid into your beer that you needed to make it bitter enough to get over 100 IBUs, you would have to put so much vegetal material in there. It would just taste like lawn clippings.
And you have to chew your beer.
Yeah, it was just gross. But then they developed these very high alpha acid bittering hops that made it easier to get your beer really bitter without making it taste like ass.
Oh, that's super cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
if you're into that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
this is part of how the breeds of hop we have available have exploded over the past couple of decades and have really influenced the kinds of IPAs that we make. That being, the foremost hop featuring beer that we drink.
Yeah, and that's super rad because one of the main complaints I've heard is that from some people who aren't as versed in craft beer would say that IPAs taste like lawn,
grass.
taste like grass and lawn clippings.
Yeah.
So the fact that we were able to figure that out figure that out, adapt, and like overcome really is super cool. I just cracked an egg of knowledge on me. I didn't
Also, what's with
understand the
all these
bitterness
people
wars.
eating grass?
Also weird.
You're not
yeah.
a cow.
Yeah.
Don't eat grass.
Don't do
Why
that.
do you know what that tastes
Or a
like?
goat.
Exactly.
Or a goat. Figure it out. I don't know.
For the record, I really like your dog. We're becoming fast friends.
Thank you.
You're just
Yeah.
taking over my left foot here.
Just very
like, this is mine now.
Yeah, I think this is kind of like a throwback to the 90s IPA, but using the more modern flavor hops. In that it's not super bitter. It's just the idea was to have this nice pop of bitter and then a clean finish and a nice malt backbone is really what cleans it up. That eases that pop of bitter.
I would 100% agree. And it sounds thematically wise from the beers we've tasted tonight that you've generously provided us. Balance is key in what you guys have done. You've balanced the malt and the hop particularly well in nearly every style of beer that we've tasted tonight. So kudos to you guys.
Really,
yeah,
and the malt can be
phenomenal.
such an underrated characteristic of a beer, what you pick, and it's so easy, I think, to the opposite end of what you're saying with people that don't like a lot of IPAs or certain type of craft beer because it tastes of malt liquor. I can go on the other, or tastes like grass. Excuse me, got ahead of myself. Go on the other side. I don't like malts because I don't want to taste like malt liquor sometimes. But if you do it right, if you use it right, if you boil it right, whatever, you can get an absolutely phenomenal type of beer. And to my understanding, I'm not a brewer, but they're not as temperamental as hops are either.
No, malts are well. That's the thing is that the compounds, the flavor compounds that you perceive as aroma and flavor, are more volatile than other compounds by their nature because you smell them. They have evaporated. So that's kind of the tough thing about really fully using your hops is to try to get all that to stay in the bottle and not escape before you get the chance to bottle it. So yeah, there's a very complicated science to getting all of the goodness that the hop actually contains to stay in your beer.
Turns out brewing beer is more than just like making something to get drunk off of, huh?
Straight up. Yeah.
It's like a whole thing.
Although that is a very important element.
It's just a beautiful byproduct. All right. Well, I think that pretty much does our questions before we get into our rapid fire. You got any questions for us? You can say no. It's fine.
You know, I didn't think about a reverse interview. Well, what's y'all's backgrounds? What brought you? What made you want to start a podcast?
It's a good question.
Take it.
Yeah, sure. So this happened to us about 2.5, 3 years ago, right, where we were just really good friends, but our lives started to get a little bit more busier and busier. And so we kind of needed an excuse to kind of get together at least once a week and just get together, conversate, talk, and just kind of catch up with each other. And we figured if we were able to do that combined with one of our other loves, which is drinking phenomenal local craft beer, we could do that along with recording it. And we know if we recorded it, it becomes real. So we have to be there, right? We got to make sure that we're there together.
Yeah, it gives us a reason to hang out at least once a week. Come on over, Paula. Say hi.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is the other one we had to start it with. He's a little shy. He doesn't like to be on video sometimes.
We just did it to get drunk.
But he ain't lying,
It's
really.
also
but
true.
also, it's like we have a passion for craft beer, and we make it very important to say we are not experts. We're enthusiasts, and our show is all about making beer accessible to the everyman. And then I know it happened to every single one of us. We enjoy it, and we just talk about it. And all of a sudden, we have like friends, other people just reaching out to us. Hey, what beer should I get? What brewery should I go to? And and starting to ask questions where I'm like, I can't answer this. And something about me personally, I know Vic's the same way. If you ask me a question that I don't know the answer to, I have to find it.
I'm going to chase it down.
Whatever
I'm going to chase it
may
down.
be.
Yeah.
And it turned out a lot of that happened to just be directed towards beer. So a love of two of my best friends on the planet, beer, pop culture. It's just an excuse to hang out and get drunk once a week.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
yeah.
It's
Let's be
for
real.
our own physical and mental health.
It started with friendship.
Exactly.
Super true. Yeah. And honestly, our friendship, we've been together nearly 18 years. Like our friendship's about to graduate high school. So it's pretty nuts.
Three more years and our friendship can legally drink.
Also true. Yeah, we're getting there. Yeah, and it's just incredible the journey we've had together and what we've done, and we want to continue to share that with the people. And learn more, interview other people, and just really learn more about this craft beer world and what people have to offer.
And community. We love Idaho. We're
Love
all
it.
transplants, but we are all really, technically we're transplants, but we've all lived in Idaho substantially longer than anywhere else. So in my opinion, we're natives. If you don't like that statement, come fight me. Whatever. I'll lose. I'm still here. So
Only lived here since I was 5.
all right.
There
So
you go.
it's kind of that too, how it's like we could have gone back, but we didn't because there is legitimately something special about this city.
Yep.
I think so.
There's
at
a
least.
reason
100%.
most of the people I know who ever moved to Portland or something came back.
Come back, absolutely.
Yep.
Because it's different, but it's still Idaho, right?
Yep.
But it's just not Idaho enough.
Yeah, there are things to like and things to not like
Exactly.
about.
So we're
living
going to
here.
throw down some quick rapid fire questions. Just first thing that comes to your mind, have at it.
Oh, God.
Throw us an answer. This is not related to beer. This is related to literally
Life.
nothing.
Yeah.
I guess life.
Life in general.
So
yeah.
we're both right.
Everything.
Yeah. Sure.
Here you go.
Yeah. Everything and nothing. So also remember, you have the opportunity to pass at any time, if you will. Okay.
Okay.
Just throwing it.
All right.
Just remember.
Thank you.
So let's go with a big party or small gathering.
Small gathering normally, but lately, I could go for a big party. Man.
real.
Yeah.
For
Straight
real.
up. I get that. Swimming or sunbathing.
Swimming, because it involves enough sunbathing, but also I don't, I got relatively fair skin. I can't sunbathe all that long.
Something about that.
Yeah.
Swedish heritage.
Yeah.
Huh?
We're meant to only see the sun for a small section of the year.
Yeah, I'll figure that out one day. Maybe not. We'll get there. Phone call or text messages.
Text message. I hate
Wow, that was so fast.
talking on the phone.
Most
Unless
people do.
you're my family or girlfriend, I don't want to talk to you on the phone. Please don't call.
We get you. We get you. Let's talk about a weird personal question. Cups in the cupboard, right side up or upside down?
Upside down. You don't want dust in them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nap or a workout?
Nap. Yes.
Love it.
Although I should probably shift the balance a little bit in my life.
You do what you got to do, man. No worries. It's okay. No judgment here. Do you like rich friends or loyal friends?
Loyal friends. I haven't really had a lot of rich friends, and the ones I have met have not been as nice as my loyal friends.
Straight. I can agree with that. Well, I definitely agree with that. Do you like Marvel or DC?
I Marvel.
Okay.
You know,
Noise.
They
Noise.
just see. I get my main experience with them is with the movies, which there's an obvious better choice, and they just seem to have more fun.
There
in the
really
movies.
is when it comes to the movies.
Yeah. The
It's,
MCU.
it's objective
Yeah.
at that point.
Yeah, they just did a much better job, and I get that. Do you do you like cornhole or ladder ball as far as your yard games are
I don't
concerned?
know what ladder ball is, so I'm gonna go with cornhole.
It's the 3 rungs and the golf balls attached to the rope. You throw top rung 3
They
points,
also
bottom rung second. For
They also
Okay.
call it redneck
middle
golf
second.
in some cases, which
Well,
is very un-PC.
I see. Yes. Well, I've never played that. I'm sure it's fun.
It's
Yeah,
a lot of fun.
It's a lot
I
of
love
fun.
It.
Yeah, but I like cornhole myself. I get you there. Do you like 80s or 90s?
90s. Dinosaur Jr., Built to Spill, the Pixies. Oh, yeah.
Nice.
The
90s is the most
Pumpkins,
fascinating generation
Nirvana.
in American history to me.
Super, man.
Especially when it comes to the music, because we were in such a weird place. But not just that, but then you get things like Barbie by Aqua, Eiffel 65, Blue.
Yeah.
So just this weird range of beautiful art to what the fuck?
Yeah.
I love it, man.
So fun. So
Yes.
fun.
Although I do 80s pop, I can't argue with. I was listening to Prince radio before I came over.
I was going to say, I love Prince, I love Bo,
Love
I love
Prince.
GNR, man.
Yep.
So,
Yeah. I mean, there's good stuff.
but I can find
in all
way
decades.
more 80s just crap than 90s.
Oh, dude, 100%. Yeah.
And I'll take 80s metal over 90s metal for sure.
Not sure if I'm
90s
familiar.
marked by that new metal, very little of which was good.
We'll have to have this conversation off.
All right. Do you prefer beach or mountains?
This is controversial, but beach.
Okay.
It is.
How un-Idahoan of you.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm 100% with you, bro. Yeah.
For real, give me
Yeah.
the water any day.
Give me the water with the sand. Let's have a day. Pancake or waffles?
Waffles.
Nice. Laundry or dishes? What do you prefer doing?
Dishes.
Nice. Yard work or housework?
Housework.
Nice. Do you like to receive a gift or have an experience?
Receive a gift or have an experience.
So you want something physical, or you want to go jump out of a plane?
You know, I feel like I have most of the material possessions I would want anyway. I have a guitar, a computer, a place to live.
Nice.
A sweet dog.
The sweet dog.
He's a very
Absolutely.
sweet dog. I like this dog a lot.
for
I might take it home with me.
experiences.
Yeah. I
Ninjas or pirates?
Pirates.
All right.
All right, man.
Because
Okay.
of the rum.
Well, they just seem like more fun.
Yeah.
Ninja's very serious.
They
That's
are
very
very
true.
serious. I'd
That's
much
very
rather
true.
swashbuckle.
Yeah. I'd like to sing songs with my crewmates upon the ocean.
You ever heard a
Yeah.
ninja drinking song?
No, you
No.
haven't.
Yeah.
Although if you have one,
Please let us know.
Send it my way.
Get at us.
maybe they've kept their drinking song secret.
that's true. A sake song? They are very sneaky.
Yes, they are. They are super sneaky. You gotta
All right.
check it out.
Well, I know you got stuff to do, Eric, but I can't tell you how much I appreciate you coming down,
This was a
providing this
pleasure.
beautiful beer. Make sure you go check out Monday night open mic at Mad Swede and Thursday trivia nights. And just whatever night you want to go get some delicious Viking-themed beer. Who painted that mural on your guys' back wall?
That was a family friend, Angie.
It's fucking awesome.
Yeah,
Sorry, I've been
dude.
drinking a lot. It's
She's-
freaking awesome.
Rad, dude. Rad.
She's doing a new one for the downtown spot.
Cool.
Yeah, we're gonna have an upright grand piano on the wall, and her mural kind of surrounds
How cool!
it.
I
Yeah.
love the artwork you guys do. It's phenomenal.
Thank you.
Throw out any personal and professional plugs you would like to.
Personal plugs. You can find me also doing stand-up comedy at these open mics. Maybe someday I'll have a real web presence, but you can find me on Twitter at Dumpster Wizard, where I sometimes tweet jokes.
Dumpster Wizard, in case you missed that.
I play in 2 bands called Bright Old Giant and Wild Spells, which are good, I guess.
They're bands.
Everybody check out at Dumpster Wizard on Twitter. This is the
Give him that a
greatest
follow
handle I've
immediately.
ever heard.
If only my stand-up comedy was that good.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure it
You
is.
got to start somewhere.
Good old Dumps Wiz. All right, everyone.
Anyways,
It's my
Dumpy
DJ
Wiz.
DJ Dump Whiz.
DJ Dump Wiz. Oh, God.
Good old D Dubs. All right.
Well, if you get an Instagram account, there you go. Oh, and how about professional? I guess probably just Mad Swede, huh?
Yeah, Mad Swede. Check out the brewery.
There
We're
you
Mad
go.
Swede Brewing on all the socials, and madswedebrewing.com. That's where to find all of our breweries.
There you go. And you guys actually
stuff.
have a really good website for a brewery.
thank you.
With
Truly.
our podcast, we kind of a long time we'd like, oh, check it out on Untapped. There's not much. Check it out on their website. Their website says to go to Facebook. I don't have a Facebook account. Fuck. Never mind. So I can't tell you how much I appreciate that you guys actually have a website that describes the beers, the About Us section, the deliveries. I knew you did the delivery when I asked the question. I just wanted you to tell people. So thank you for
Yes,
having a
that's-
website worth a shit.
Thank you. That's Susie, my mom, the one who does all the
Shouts
important
to
stuff behind the
Susie!
scenes. Yeah.
Good old Susie kicking ass.
She done did that.
Hell yeah. Good
Awesome.
job, Susie. You rocking it. Well, thank you so much. Make sure you check out The Lounge. Go to their patreon.com/loungeboise. Get your growler fills, loungeboise.com/shop. Their Buddy Hub, top tier Buddy Hub. You can buy your Buddy card, Boise Beer Buddies, and you can even use Brewnomics for that discount code of 25%. Y'alls?
Big 2-5.
Oh, yeah. Until next time, again, Eric, thank you so much. Go get some delicious Mad Swede Brewing. Check us out on the social media to follow our giveaway. Drink good beer, preferably local. Be good people. Till next time, I'm Jerry.
I've been Vic.
Eric.
Cheers.